spent my first 15 years trying to get out of the woods because I thought it was horrible. And I spent the next 20 years trying to get back. The truth of the matter is we need to be well-rounded individuals like our forefathers were.
Oh, what's up, y'all? T here with Mountain Readiness, of course, coming to you live from here in Appalachia, good old Wilkes County. So tonight we're waiting on our guest. She's running a little bit behind, but I drug the lovely Amber into the house. Amber doesn't ever do these with me, so she's gonna jump in and chit chat. And if you have any questions for Amber, you can throw those up there too. But
let's rein it in.
yeah. So let's see, Deanna. There's Patrick 7. What's going on, guys? Of course, Teresa. Battle Gnome, you guys, Kelly, good seeing all you guys. Why am I locked up? My live video, my live stream locked up. Well, that sucks. What just happened? I just got shit. What in the world? How do I get unlocked?
Yeah, it's locked on there too.
Wow, that sucks.
No, it's still hearing you.
So people can hear me.
Jinx y'all. Jinx them.
People can hear me, but
I'm gonna go back to eating ice cream.
they can't see me.
That's not a bad thing.
So that's kind of a bummer. So yeah. Don't know what happened.
Can you refresh? Russ.
T, they can hear and see you. Let's try to put him back on the screen, folks. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties.
Hey,
let's see where we're at.
Looky there.
They,
Luckily, we didn't say anything really nasty, I don't think.
no, folks can hear and see you.
No kid. All right.
So
Well,
back
now we're
off
back.
again.
Now we're back. I can see it now. Says now you're frozen. Let's see. It looks like let's see, still have video on this side. Hey, I guess we're back, guys, just like that. So if I said something really nasty, I apologize. I should have checked to see if that was froze up, but I think I was good. But so thanks for sticking around, guys. Patrick said we're 5 by 5 on his end. Right on. Yeah, Russ got us taken care of. So you remember, guys, like, share, click on subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It's looking like it's going to be one of them crazy nights, folks. It's just going to be one of them wild nights. I don't know, the higher powers that be are doing stuff in the background to me. It's hard telling.
Sandra, I use Chick Cozy. I want the Kebonics, but I don't like it. I use the Chick Cozy.
So let's let's throw her. She asked what kind of incubator. So, and you said it's the Chick Cozy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Diana said I just whined.
It's nothing new.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Ask Amber.
All day.
And then Miss Christy is in the house. What's going on, Christy? Hi to Amber.
Hey, girl, I got your soap foot back. And Mama T's too.
Awesome. Soap is on the way. So our guest has arrived. I'm going to bring her up, but so as I said before, guys, thanks for sticking around. Little technical difficulties, little hiccups, camera issues, stuff like that. But we're going to go ahead and bring Villina in here. Let's get her up. Russ, would you bring her on? There she is. Can you hear us
Hello.
okay, Villina?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can. We can.
Woohoo!
It's perfect. Well, and in your absence, my camera froze up and locked up. People could hear me. I couldn't see what was going on. So it's one of those nights. We're going to fight through it. We're going to fight through it. We're going to come out
It's called
on top.
life.
That's it. That's it. And then my wife, of course, Amber.
Hello, gorgeous.
Hello, hello. So, guys, tonight we've got, and it is Villina. I always want to say Villina.
I've heard it all. Normally villain, but it's Villina.
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 I'm going to get it
A
right.
family name from Denmark.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, guys, Villina Greenwell.
Yep. That's me.
Just a few of the things. So you run, of course, Nickelbeak Hollow.
Yeah,
And,
Nickelbeak, not Nickelback.
Not Nickelback. Not to be, which they're an okay band. I mean, they're okay, but I wouldn't like give them I'm sure Nickelbeak is way better than Nickelback. I'm just going to say that right now.
100%.
No doubt about it. And then, of course, the accent growing up in Australia.
That's me.
So that in itself is very, very cool. And
Thank
you had Amber and you have had a lot of the same type of career because you also had a career in law as well as engineering, the same as Amber with engineering and law and law enforcement.
That's right.
But let's jump in here. Hey guys, if you got a question for Villina, put in, I got it, right? If you have a question for Villina, put the word cluck in front of your question. That way
I like
you're asking her a question. Let's go
like
cluck. Cluck, here's what, and make sure you spell it cluck. Don't get off the rails with that.
Right.
The gnomes.
That's their usernames.
Bottle gnome?
So guys, Amber hasn't been on live stream before, so she's asking why everybody's names look weird. She doesn't understand that's your usernames and stuff like that. So
Right.
No, I mean
it's Battle Gnome. You got Mama Gnome and Battle Gnome.
oh,
Yeah, that's
okay.
yeah. There you go. See,
Okay, sure.
you got it now. So let's jump into stuff. Villina, you just had a chicken workshop. You currently live in Utah.
I do. Mm-hmm.
And so
I'm just getting everyone online as well. Yeah, the state of prepping. Absolutely. Yeah.
So how did your event go?
It was fantastic. We had amazing people there, amazing vendors. Our classes were educational as far as everyone was telling us. They loved it. We had a lot of fun. I like to, take the mickey out of myself, as we say in Australia, make fun of myself. Because what's life without making fun of yourself, right? So I have four brothers, so they made fun of me my whole life, so I can laugh at that. And we had lots of prizes.
My wife for doing a lot of that.
Right. Well, we also supported an amazing charity called Mascot Miracles Foundation, and we had some of the mascots there. It's a Utah-based charity, 501c3. And they help a lot of families with children that have either terminal illnesses or permanent type of problems. And they bring joy into their lives, not just those children, but their siblings and their parents, who often are quite bogged down with going to hospital and medical bills. So we were really happy to be able to support them. And we had a lot of donations from our sponsors and some of our vendors that were able to give prizes. And we were able to raffle them off for the charity. And that was just fabulous. And a lot of families will be helped with that. So that's actually my proudest moment.
Absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
educating, but I do like helping those families, and that was great. And everyone had a fun time.
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll be doing the same thing there at Mountain Readiness. We've got
I know it's going to be great.
Billy Bond with the Living Soil Foundation. We've got to
Ah,
actually be releasing that. So he's working to rebuild the soil there here in North Carolina that was affected by Hurricane
oh,
Helene, all the toxic
yes,
poisons that were washed all over the
yes,
place. So we
yes.
will. I will have that live, I hope, by the first of
Mm,
next week so that everybody can check that out.
that's
But
awesome.
what all did you, because you're going to be with us in May for Mountain
I
Readiness,
am. I
and you'll be
am.
teaching some of the same stuff that you did at your
Some
chicken
of.
workshop.
Yes,
So
yes, indeed.
what did you guys cover there?
So we covered things like typical illnesses that chickens have. A lot of people come into social media to ask questions, what's wrong with my chicken? They go to a farm store, typically is their first venture, to grab some cute chicks. And quite often they are so excited, they don't know what they don't know. And some things happen. Their little chicks might get pasty butt, where they have some stuck poop on their butt. They don't know what to do or how to clean it, or even why they're getting it. So we help people, go through those stages. And then what happens is they get their kids involved, which is part of the joy of having chickens. And they're so excited about it all, and they get their first egg, and they might have some colored eggs, and that's always very exciting. But then something happens with their chickens. They might have a chicken that's feeling quite unwell, and chickens hide their illnesses very, very well. And so they might have a chicken that's hunched over or in the corner or hiding, or they might be losing feathers, or they might have a comb and wattles that are quite pale, or they just slow down on egg production for no visible or apparent reason. And so these are the types of things that we were able to go through and answer. And then I did a class particularly on what's called bumblefoot. And you can see my little bumblefoot kit here that we put together with Nickelbeak Hollow, because it's one of the most prevalent things that happen to chickens, because chickens, well, they're busy scratching. That's what they do. And so
That's what they do.
You get a tiny little cut or something like that into a chicken's foot, and it can get an infection over time. And before you know it, the chicken might be limping, and quite often they have quite a swollen foot or a swollen part of the foot. Sometimes you see a plug in the bottom, and that is a classic sign of what is called bumblefoot. It's a staphylococcus infection, or staph for short, and it is something to watch for on a regular basis. We encourage everyone to pick up their chickens at least once a week, have a little bit of an inspection, and their feet is one of the first places to look. And then their vent area.
Inspected ours today.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we just had some of that action today.
All right.
Chickens and checking
Great.
chicken feet.
Yay!
Now,
That's
I'm gonna
awesome.
ask this as far as your experience, but growing up, there was not a lot of bumblefoot that we had, and I know a lot of people say that by using natural timber for their roosts that you can cause bumblefoot. Have you ever heard this? They say that you're supposed to use a 2x4 versus a branch. And I've had zero issues with it. What's your opinion on that?
That's a great question. And I had to pause there because I think there's no definitive answer. I think if you are able to maintain, first of all, the inspections of your chickens on a regular basis and see how they're coping, it also depends on, does it have any sharp points? If you can have a natural stick, for instance, a nice thick one, and it doesn't have any sharp points on it, if you can just kind of sand them back, then that's going to work. That's their natural roost. The 2x4s are also good, and I recommend them more in colder climates like where we are. because the chickens like to, nestle down on top of their feet in the colder months, and we have a lot of cold months here in Utah, and it keeps their feet warm. And they don't have a feather. Well, some breeds have feathers on their feet, but most don't. And so that's the advantage of having a 2x4. And I always recommend having the 4-inch side, the flat side. And that's for the chickens to be able to nestle down and keep their feet warm. So both are good. It's just maintaining them and keeping the sharp points away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You would be surprised how much crap that I've caught on the internet over that question right there. So, but everybody's got opinions.
Chicken groups are savage.
Oh,
Speaking
I know.
Of chicken groups that are not savage. So here's something else, guys, is if you want to jump on a Facebook group that does not chastise you for any of your questions, you need to check out. That was the Chicken Anonymous.
Chicken Addiction Anonymous.
Chicken Addiction Anonymous on Facebook.
Yes.
And that is Villina. That's you and you have a partner.
Melody Neal. She's amazing. Yes, she actually started it a few years ago. She brought me on about a year ago, and we just make it happen. We got a great team of moderators and administrators. We've been growing. We've been really getting ourselves out there. And part of what you just said, is true, but part of it is not chastising people. I mean, everyone is at a different level. You don't know what you don't know. People might just be joining this year to have in the chicken world. We've seen absolutely phenomenal numbers of people going to farm stores, contacting breeders like myself, more than ever before. In 2020, we had a surge, but this year surpasses 2020. And we've had farm stores sell out within just a few hours, sometimes even less. IFA, which is Intermountain Farmers Association, it's a big farming store here, chain store here in Utah. They were our sponsors, our major sponsors, and we went into their store and we were able to help them with some of their customers that were buying chicks, particularly for the first time. And we gave them some instructions and helpful advice on how to get started. And Tractor Supply, everyone knows that one. Cal Ranch, they were also our sponsors. And we worked with them as well on the same level. Because people want to be more self-reliant, and that's why you guys exist, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, just the self-reliance stems from, the prices that we are seeing now. I mean, it is insane. It is insane prices. And just like you said, chicks selling out right now, Murray McMurray and
all the major hatcheries.
All the major hatcheries are pretty much so nada. You can't get nothing.
Right.
So, we've actually, and we also share a common love of a certain breed of chicken. You are on the silver side, but the Bella filter.
Yeah.
So
best.
They are the best. But we've actually started hatching and we're back ordered as well. Everybody's ready to do this. On that note, let's take a couple questions because I see a couple here that kind of pertain to what we're talking about. So number one, Sandra Davis, she was asking about what kind of incubator. I know we were using one. What do you use?
Well, I have several, but it also depends.
As do we. It's kind of right?
Right. And I have gone down that path of trial and error. And there's a couple of questions that I always ask the person back when they ask what sort of incubator do I recommend. First of all, what's your budget? That's the most important because, you have to look at a range of brands that are within your budget. And then also how often do you want to incubate? Even if you have a fantastic budget, you may only want to incubate once or twice a year, and that may not be a good return on your investment. So if that's the case, you may or may not want to invest in a few silky hens because they are amazing mothers. They go broody often. And I know Melody uses them exclusively for hers. She has amazing set of silky hens, and they are just the best mothers out there, and they just love to go broody. But if you want great layers and don't want broody hens, then you would definitely choose other breeds. And I have a couple of breeds that are phenomenal layers. But yes, we do share the Bielefelder. The Kreller Bielefelder is, I think, what you guys have, and they're the most popular and well known. And they're beautiful. And that was my introduction to the Bielefelders here. They're a German breed, as you know. And then I discovered the silver Bielefelders. And so, yes, we breed them, and they're just as beautiful, just in a different way.
Absolutely.
Yes. So back to the incubator. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. And that's the great part about live is people tune in to live streams to see people mess up. So it works out. Like you talk over each other.
We're human.
Screen freezes.
Yeah.
All this kind of craziness. But we've also noticed that the Bielefelders, they are not broody much at all.
Not much at all. No, not much at all. No, not much at all. So if you go back to the incubator, there's a couple of different ones out there that are very, very popular for those that want to do quite a lot of incubating. The GQF is one that's quite popular. I haven't personally used it. I use the Chimuka. It's pronounced Chimuka because I believe it comes from Turkey, but it's spelled Cimuka. And actually, a customer of mine put me onto it a couple of years back, and I love it. It has, in my opinion and experience, the absolute best humidity control out of everything I've ever used. And here in Utah, that's important. It's not necessarily as important for states that have naturally humid environments, which is where I came from in Australia. So I never really came across this issue before I came to Utah. But here we have a very dry climate. And so we have to maintain the humidity levels spot on. And so the Chimuka maintains those humidity levels perfectly. And I put hygrometers into mine, which monitors the temperature and what did I just talk about? See, I've got lots on my mind. The humidity, right? The humidity. So I use hygrometers, and I've been through a few different brands of those as well. And there's some, in my opinion, that are better than others. But the Chimuka is good, but you've got an entry price point of about $700. So if you want to go for something that's got a lower budget, then you can go for some of the ones that you can get off Amazon, and you would just have to go and find opinions on those because they all have their pros and cons. I've used some of them. They don't personally suit me, but I do have some hints for how to make them work better if you do choose them.
Right.
So,
and we are using, what is the one that we are using?
We're using a Chick Cozy.
Gotta get closer.
Chick Cozy is what we're using from Amazon, but we're looking to upgrade to commercial because now I'm limited on how many I can do, and that's not going to work for the meat bird side of it. So I need to be able to do a bunch. Plus, we've already got a waiting list for the chicks themselves. So we're going to have to upgrade soon. But I use the Gobi hygrometer, and I really like it because it Bluetooths to my phone, and I get a notification if the humidity drops or the temperature drops. Those are super nice.
They are nice. And I've got a bunch of them, but I found something that worked better for me, so I put all my Gobis in the cabinet. And if they work for people, I recommend them because they're a very good brand. They work quite well. They didn't work for me to the level that I needed, so I went with the Sensor Push or the Sensor Plus, and they work. Oh my gosh, they are magnificent. They are worth their weight in gold for me and my goals, but they are expensive.
Now, for the Chimuka that you referred to at the $700 price point, how many can you hatch in that particular
60. 60.
60. Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then you go up a level to 120. And that's not
Oh, wow.
actually, I think it's only about $150 more to get the 121. And
Do
their
they have the
prices may have
hatching
gone up.
trays in them too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
I actually bought a few of their extra ones because they have some pretty special ones. I'm actually looking over to my kitchen sink right now that there's a few I've just taken out that need washing, and they are fabulous. They've got a little they're all slotted, and they've got lids, and they've got little cylindrical ones like this, and then the bigger ones. So I can do the different breeds in there really, really well. I tried the bags at first. I used a lot of bags, and when I say bags, they're mesh, so they work well. They obviously let all of the air and everything in, but it kept the breed separated, and they work pretty good. But chicks are chicks, and they crawl over each other, and sometimes they'll just sit on another chick and not move. Whereas the ones that I bought specifically, the baskets with the lids, they just work brilliantly, and I've had much better results with them, with the Chimuka. Yeah.
Definitely want to look into that. I've got another one here. Mama Gnome. She says, I really want chickens. We have a small yard and 2 big dogs, so we'll have to wait until we have more land. Now, I don't know. Number one, my question is, Mama Gnome, is, are you in an HOA where they don't allow chickens or something of that sort? Which I would buck the system anyway on that. But
most people
it really doesn't take a lot of space to get a couple chickens.
No, it doesn't. And if you just want to start with about 4 chickens, that's a really easy way to go. I would probably suggest go with maybe 5 or 6 in case something happens, because it's harder to introduce. So I always suggest go with a few more, particularly if you're new to chickens, because sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and we're all human and we all make mistakes. Some things can happen, and if you lose 1 or 2, you don't have, and we hope you don't, but if you do, you don't have the trouble of trying to find other hens of the same age and then having the introduction to them, because that's a whole other program, and I can certainly help you understand how to do that as well. So
yes.
Yeah, you can build some secure runs for them, and if you want to keep them occupied and not bored, you can add things like swings and mirrors and games, and hang some vegetables or fruit in some meshy bag type things and hangers, and it really does give them things to do. And if you're able to put your dogs away at least maybe 3 or 4 times a week for a few hours and let the chickens out, then you'll still have those healthy chickens. The dogs get a little rest, and you can go out into your yard and enjoy chicken TV.
Yes. We actually did the corn frozen in ice cubes.
Oh, nice.
Oh, man, they love that. They love it.
Nice.
So in the summer, cools them way down, gives them something to do. They really enjoyed that, freezing the corn. Another thing is Mama Gnome, maybe get you a little small chicken tractor.
Yeah.
And on wheels, so that you can roll that thing around your yard. And in the process, you are getting natural fertilizer for your yard.
Yep.
Tick control when you let them out.
Absolutely.
And of course, our yard, like just in the past couple years, is a 180-degree difference because of running chickens through the yard. I mean, the grass is lush and green now. It's so you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You can have a nice yard. You got chickens with eggs.
Pun intended, right?
Yeah, no, you get goats for that. Yeah, we didn't mow at all last year, but 1 time. So, what else we got going on here? Tell us about, before we go any more questions here, tell us about Australia. How is Australia living? You guys were raising cattle, dairy, sheep. I mean, the whole bit.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, when I was young, my grandparents had a dairy farm, and we were little ragamuffins, so we were pretty much always there. And so, my grandpa taught me how to milk a cow, and we had to get in the cows and taught us all about animal husbandry for dairy cattle. And, I was a kid that paid attention and asked a lot of questions. I loved older people when I was a kid. And I think because I was so curious, and they were very patient with me asking questions, and they actually loved me asking all the questions. And I found that quite enticing. So I would stick with them and ask a lot more questions. But I have a curious mind. And so I asked my grandpa many questions. And he taught me all about the crops and the moon phases, planting, companion planting, and how the tides and the moon affected the tides, and how all of that affected the crops, and how it also affected the animals. And I was always fascinated with that. So I loved learning all about those things, and not just about getting the cows in or milking the cows or, mucking them out, the stalls or whatever we had to do. Or my dad had me and my brothers go and collect, of course, all the dry cow patties for the garden back home. I was always curious to ask all of those questions too. So, and then my father's brother, my uncle, and a lot of the other family members had beef cattle ranches. So essentially I was a kid that grew up around cattle, and we always had chickens back where we lived, and also on all of the farms, the family farms. And then later with my then husband, who we had a sheep ranch. We just call it a farm in Australia, but it's the equivalent of a ranch. And we had a meat sheep, so they did not need shearing. They were hair sheep, so they just molted, which was great. And so no shearing. That was a condition of my husband at the time. He had been what you call a stockman in Australia, which is the equivalent of a cowboy here. And he, when I first started talking to him about sheep, because in Australia, eating lamb is iconic. I grew up eating lamb. I mean, yes, of course, we had beef and chicken and everything else, but lamb was number one. We even had Tom Cruise in about a lamb ad over there. It was phenomenal. So when I talked to him about that, he rolled his eyes at me and he said, "Oh, sheep are dumb. I don't want sheep." And I said, "Yeah, but what if we can get 3 lambings every 2 years? What if their maiden lambing is a single, and everything after that is at least twins, if not triplets? What if they have such amazing hoofs that they don't get hoof rot, and they can be on black soil, and they don't need shearing or tail docking or mulesing?" And he said, "I'll think about it."
Right. And it's funny you should say that, because we are currently delving into the same thing.
Awesome.
The sheep is St. Croix. That's the
very good.
We're shooting for that because they are the hair sheep.
Yeah.
No shearing and parasite.
Resistant.
Yep. I love it. Yeah, I looked at all of those same things as well. And the hoof rot was a really big thing, because we lived on the east coast of Australia, and where we lived was very agricultural rich. And so the soil was black soil, which was very wet type soil. And so the hoof rot was something that was very concerning to me at the time. And I needed a sheep that was more like a goat, that would eat all the rubbish in the pasture, and would not have that rotting hoof. So we achieved it with that, and we had zero problems with that breed. And it was called the Wilty Dam.
What breed was it that you guys picked?
Wilty Dam. Yeah, so it was a mixture of no.
Yeah.
But you may have heard of the breeds they came from. So it was a polled Wiltshire, which is a Wilty poll, which came from England. And then it was a Damara, which comes from the Middle East. And then a Van Rooy, which comes from South Africa. And so it was those three that were bred and crossbred and so forth to get the right 33% each.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were looking at and so that worked. I always looked at Australia as just being super hot sand. Us Americans over here, that's all we see is like snakes
Yeah.
everywhere,
Yeah.
sand, heat rolling off
Yeah.
the desert. So to hear,
Yeah.
black soil and
Yeah.
rich agriculture, it just doesn't fit.
Right. Well, the continent and island of Australia, because they're both, is actually slightly larger than the contiguous states of the United States.
Yes.
So if you take into consideration all the islands and Alaska, of course, it's not as large, but the contiguous states. So it's a very large country and it's very diverse. So of course, being down under, everything is opposite. So the further south you go, the colder it gets. And of course, up in the north, it's very, very hot. And so where I'm from is on the east coast, right about the middle, a place called Brisbane, which is the capital of the state of Queensland. But Queensland is a huge state. And the further north you go is where you get to the Whitsunday Islands. And that's where you see the pure white sand, the crystal clear waters, and it's just paradise. It really is. But the further south you go, you are getting mountains and you're getting ski resorts. Yes, ski resorts. and lots of, snow and ice and wind and bitter cold. So you get that too.
It's something that all the movies and everything here never portray.
No, they don't
see that part of Australia.
No.
It's always the bad stuff that tries to kill you, which we had talked a little bit about on our phone call when we had first talked about Mountain Readiness. But Patrick 7, what do you got going on here, Patrick 7? He says, Clark, what came first, the chicken or the egg? My father asked me this. I was a little boy. I said the only thing that seemed obvious was the farmer. What do you say? I'll let you answer it first. I've got something to throw in there.
Right. Well, I think the answer to this is based on what a person's personal belief is. And my personal belief is that we came from God. Other people might have a different belief system, and that's okay. We're all able to be free in this country, at least, and have our own opinions. Part of the reason I live here now. But my belief is that we were designed and created by God. And so, of course, the chicken must have come first. And they must have had a rooster to actually fertilize her and lay an egg that was fertilized and then hatch that egg.
I couldn't have said it better because that's exactly where I was going with it. And you said rooster, but I'm going to guess that the rooster didn't have pronouns underneath this.
Not at all.
That person.
No,
it was actually male, female. So we'll go with that.
100%. And having raised many animals in my life, if I had I had 6 prize rams with my stud. I had a sheep stud farm, and if I had to put all of my rams together, well, we would have had fights. But if I had to put all my rams together with no ewes, we'd have no baby lambs. The ewes would not be inseminated, and we would not have had any baby lambs, and therefore we couldn't feed new lines to the farmers that produce the sheep, who produce the food for us to eat.
Absolutely. So let's see here. You had a couple questions too. We were talking earlier about closed flock and
so with all this avian flu stuff going on, right? Everybody's freaking out. It's a thing. It's always been a thing. It's always going to be a thing. But now because the media's been involved the past few years, it's this huge thing, right?
Always.
And so, And so now I'm thinking about going the NPIP route
Mm-hmm.
and getting all of that done. But then I'm also reading all these articles, and they're like, well, you have to test, and we're going to come out and we're going to test for avian flu and all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so what is the real benefit? Because it sounds to me like if one of my birds were to test for something, then they would have the authority to tell me I need to call. And that's my choice.
Yeah, what's your take on
Yes.
that? We were actually talking about that. Do they have the authority? And of course, everybody, if you're not sure what we're talking about a closed flock where we don't bring anything from the outside in. We're raising and hatching right here at the homestead. And if something was to be diagnosed with the avian flu and they came in to inspect, would we have to kill our entire flock, being private, not a big commercialized flock? So, what do you say? What do you think on that? Is that what it?
This
That's
is my
awesome.
Yeah.
So the short answer is, well, this is Henrietta for a start. So she's my prop. It helps me to show where things are on the chicken. So NPIP stands for National Poultry Improvement Program. And I actually just wrote an article on this and popped it up on our website just a couple of weeks ago. No, that's okay. I've done a lot of pros and cons with this because it's not for everybody. NPIP, or being part of it, is you actually then have to work with your state vet, so whatever state you're in. So keep in mind, the N it means national. So keep in mind that these protocols have been around a very long time, and those protocols are templated. So it's important to know too that because it's a federal program, there's a lot of information out there, and anyone that may be testing your birds, if they're not coming from the state vet themselves, and quite often they don't have a lot of time to have a program for this, some states take on a privately managed testing program who must still work with their state vet and report to their state vet. But one of the big things that I brought up in my article, and that I want to bring up today because it's really important, is that are the people that are representing the state vet and or in that private management program, are they a for-profit business who are in direct competition to you? Because a lot of people don't know what they don't know, and they don't think about that. They think, oh, this person is approved by the state vet to come and test my birds. And quite often you're quite nervous about what you just said there. Are they going to tell me to cull all my birds? What hoops do I have to jump through? So it's really important to know, first of all, your rights. And one of the first things is to know, well, who's coming to test my birds? Who are they? And what motives have they got to come and test my birds? Because there's not a lot of money in this. Come on, let's face it. You're not going to get rich being a tester for the NPIP program if you're not a state vet and that's your job. So what motives have they got? Is it control? Is it to find out their competition? So these are some of the questions I encourage you to ask yourself, and to have a little meeting with yourself and to figure out who they are. And also, are you able to get qualified yourself to test your birds yourself, which you can in a lot of states, as long as you have a third party there witnessing it. And giving a signed statement that it's true. And of course, there's another way to do that as you send all of the testing off to diagnostic labs. So that is beyond reproach. So keep that in mind. And if you go to my website, nickelbeakhollow.com, have a look at the articles there. I think it's either in the blog or the articles, and it's about the NPIP. If you want to ship your chicks or pullets or any size bird or hatching eggs outside of your own state, then you must be NPIP certified. If you do not have any intention of doing that, then what is your reason for being NPIP certified? You may have some. You may want to show your birds in poultry shows. Some of them have requirements for NPIP certification. You may want to demonstrate to your customers that you are certified, that your flock is clean. So there's a lot of reasons that are definitely for getting NPIP certified. And then there's a lot of reasons, well, why bother? So you just got to ask yourself, why am I doing this? And is it worth the time, effort, and money? Because it is a lot of time, it is a lot of effort, and it is a lot of money. So if you're going to get a return on your investment of your time, effort, and money, then, and you want to do it, then go right ahead, because it's a valuable program. It really is. But you also enter into the realm, like you said, of being beholden to the government.
Well, and here it's the state, is what Amber just said.
Yeah, it's the
Right.
state vet.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
the state vet. Yes. So to answer your question, Amber, if the testing comes back, and the testing for avian influenza always goes to a diagnostic lab, if it comes back that they do, they are likely to order your entire flock to be culled. That is the worst case scenario. So yes.
So, but if they don't know I have a flock, then they can't tell me what to do. But
There is that.
on the flip side,
Right.
if I try to improve my genetics here and improve
Right.
upon the breed, I
Yeah.
personally won't buy from someone unless they're NPIP
Right.
certified.
Right.
Because I'm not going to take that risk,
Right.
you know? So it's
I
a
understand that.
double-edged sword.
But there are ways to mitigate that as well. And one of the classes that I taught at our healthcare workshop on the weekend just gone was biosecurity. And one of the classes Melody taught was integrating new additions to the flock. And they do go hand in hand, or they have an overlap. And biosecurity is something that the NPIP program will give you protocols on. I like to give people protocols on it who are even just having their own flock, because let's face it, you put a lot of time and effort, and many people love their chickens, their pets, they're adored. They might be their favorite chicken their child loves. So it is important to implement biosecurity into your chickens. And in fact, if you have any animals. And so it can sound like a scary word, but it's not. It's really common sense. Wash your hands before and after handling your birds, particularly for children, but of course yourself. Have dedicated gloves that you use only around your chickens. If you are tending to any type of wounds or anything like that, make sure you wear like nitrile gloves that are just disposable. We have plenty in our kits. We encourage people also to have safety glasses. If anything squirts out of the chicken, it doesn't go into your eye. You don't want that. Make sure, and this is a big one, have dedicated shoes that never leave your property, that don't come inside the house unless it's just to your mudroom, and that never go into your vehicle, never leave the chicken environment. And if you have visitors, make sure they follow the same protocols. Don't let them wear their street shoes into your chicken area unless you disinfect the bottom of them very thoroughly, all their shoes, and also make sure that they either wear gloves, either disposable gloves, or they wash their hands thoroughly before and after, their face and their hair as well. Their clothes, as soon as they get home, they should put them in the laundry and wash them immediately. Even though they may not be dirty, they may have things on them that can transmit to other animals, including their own if they have them. So make sure you don't take your vehicle to drop off feed or anything like that into the area where you have chickens unless you can't avoid it. And then when you drive your vehicle outside of that zone, make sure you wash it down thoroughly, the wheels, the tires, and disinfect it. Now, I know it sounds a bit of a pain, and it can be, but if you have a little plan in place, you can change your behavior a little so you don't have to put in so much effort all the time. So what you do is you have like a little barrier to your chicken area and make sure that anything that goes into that barrier is very clean. You don't want to come from a feed store pick up dirt from somebody else's shoes on their farm and inadvertently bring a disease into your chickens.
Yeah, we got chicken shoes. I mean, it's just a thing.
That's
Yeah.
it. Gotta
Yeah.
have chicken shoes. Great
Absolutely.
Great advice
Yeah.
for sure. And that's a lot of things that people who are just getting chickens and trying to learn what they should and shouldn't do. That's the stuff that gets
Right.
overlooked, and you
Yeah.
know that could be the difference between losing some of your flock or all of your flock, or
Yeah.
having a successful first run. So,
Yes. Yep.
Christy says, "What would you ladies say is the worst part about having a small backyard coop?" Well, I mean, if it's amber, it's because it's small. That's
It's real. Chicken is so real.
Yeah.
So make it bigger, Matt. Make
Yeah.
it bigger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Make it bigger.
Make it bigger. That's the problem with that, is it needs to be bigger. And Matt, our friend Matt King is in the house. He just popped in. That was for Matt. There he is, Matt. And by the way, man, good job on the coop that you're building. And I'm serious. Go ahead and start building that second one, because you're going to need it soon. So just get the jump on it right now. Just get the jump on it while you can. So awesome. Griff here, he says, taking her class just so I can listen to her talk. So there you have it. You got at least one person in class for sure. It's a done
Thank
deal
you.
at Mountain Readiness. So Australians sound cool when they talk. They just do. It's an awesome
Thank
accent.
you. Thank you.
So what are you going to be teaching there at Mountain Readiness, so people know kind of an overview what it is that you're going to be sharing with them?
Well, one of my favorite classes to teach is the Bumblefoot class, because it can be, we had a PowerPoint presentation with a projector at our event on the weekend, but we, are limited with the Mountain Readiness Expo. So what I'll be doing there is actually more hands-on. So I'll have my Henrietta, but I believe we're going to have some live chickens there as well.
You're going to have some live chickens as well.
Yeah. So what I want to do is, have a lot of my kits there, but I'll have some other gear there where I'll be able to show people how to actually treat the bumblefoot in the chickens. And I can show people how to apply the gauze, how to apply the vet wrap. There's little tips and tricks that I've got to make things a lot easier. We have chicken slings in the deluxe kit. But if you have a person that will hold the chicken for you, that's really good. And I can show you the little tips and tricks on how to bandage them, making sure you don't cut off their circulation. The 1-inch vet wrap is the one to get for chicken feet. You only need 2 or 3 inch if you're going to be wrapping their body for any type of bigger wounds, but it's the 1 inch you need to make sure you're getting in between their toes correctly, and make sure it's not too tight. That's one of the biggest things I do try and remind people of, because you can cut off their circulation. Bumblefoot, and of course biosecurity. It's a really important thing. There's a lot of things to remember about that, and probably just the typical. I will talk about the typical illnesses and problems that chickens have, because that's something everybody wants to talk about. And
Yes.
They think, well, why does my chicken look like they're molting, but they only molted 3 months ago? That's a really, really big question. And it's typically depluming mites. You can't see them because they live in the shaft of the feather. And they are normally not eradicated with your standard mite and lice treatment. And they can give the appearance of molting, but it's not molting. So I'll teach you all about that as well, and some hints and tips too on securing your coop from predators.
Yes, and that's a huge one there that a lot of people, especially they live in the country as we do. Anymore, even in town, we see more and more wild animals running through. So, coop security is a huge thing. Yeah. And guys, you're going to want to take these classes, because just to throw this out there, the coops that you see a lot of times for sale on Amazon, they are not worth buying. And you
not if you live in
lose your
bear
flock.
country.
Yeah, especially where we live. You might as well
no.
you might as well just let them stay outside
Yeah.
if you live where we're at.
Oh, they'd be safer
or where
because they'd
you're
go
at,
up
I'm sure,
high.
as well.
Well, there
Yes,
was a bear just in the middle school in town here just a year or two ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
we've got a couple bears. We've got a picture on our camera of a bear right at our back door. So we've got coyotes. They say there's big cats out there. I've seen some weird stuff. Bears, fox, possum, raccoon, and all of those above will take your chickens out in a quick, fast hurry. So,
like Premier One Fencing, I think it does a good job too.
Yeah. Well, can I ask the listeners a question? Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew. I thought you were done. My apologies. I'd like to ask
ground yourself and touch it, because
I
will tell you, the chicken fencing, that Premier One, it hits hard, but
good.
That goat fencing now, oh wow, that's something to take your breath.
Yeah. Well, I've had my fair share of it in Australia. Well, I wanted to ask all the listeners a question. Now, we all have different predators in areas where we live. So that's one of the things that I do suggest to people when we talk about predators is take a look at your area. What is in your area? But after that, I want to ask, what is the number one predator of chickens in North America?
I would have
Can we
to
get some
say
answers online?
Yeah, let's see what anybody else. Let's see what everybody else says.
Yeah.
What do you guys say? Number one predator in North America. You guys throw some comments up here before the hour's up. And let's check that out. But while we're waiting on some comments, let's talk about Mountain Readiness. Here's what we're going to be doing, guys. So on Saturday, we're going to be doing kind of how to raise your chickens, a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Villina will be doing she's going to be doing those classes that she talked about, hands-on. We can throw you a PowerPoint up there as well if you want it.
Okay.
We've got that capability.
All right.
Yeah, we're not completely backwoods. We've got some technology.
All right.
And then we're going to process. This will be a hands-on class, processing as well. And I'm sure you'll be sticking around as well. I've
processed a lot of chickens.
Mullen with the farm of Forge. We'll all pitch in, do the whole processing thing, and then we'll probably be cooking those bad boys up to serve them up for later on that night. So you're going to get the full experience, guys. You're going to get here's how you raise them. Here's how you take care of them. Here's how you build coops and put the right security in there so you don't lose them. And then here's how you process and do all that stuff. So we've got a few in the house. We've got a guy who says he's saying raccoons. We got a second raccoon. Christy says humans. Yeah, humans probably do. They take most of them out.
Yeah.
Stray dogs. We've got coyotes. Amber just said neighbor dogs.
Your own dog.
I'm going with I've got to go with maybe possum. I know I've seen some possums take some chickens out, but fox, I'm going with fox. Little fox, I've seen foxes take out ridiculous amount of chickens very quick. So we've got all those answers. Minks, weasels, there's another one. Hit us with the truth. What is it?
Well, first of all, every single one of them is definitely a predator, including the humans, of chickens, 100%. And neighbors' dogs and stray dogs definitely are a big one in more in the city bounds and the neighborhood bounds. But the number one predator in North America of chickens, raccoons.
Yes, raccoons.
And they have opposable thumbs. That's right. So
what are the squeeze through some very small areas as well.
So make sure any latches that you have or any easy turn knobs or anything like that, you secure them with carabiners or a key or some other thing that raccoons cannot just go boom and get straight in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they will open doors. I have
Yes.
actually witnessed this.
Yes.
It is a fact. They will open
Yep.
stuff up. They are smart. I will say
Yeah.
fox would be the fastest killers I've ever seen
Oh.
of
Yes.
chickens. I have seen 20 chickens
Yeah.
taken out within a minute. Just it's
Mhm.
insane. They just kill them and leave.
They are.
So
They are.
but
And they're
all
very
those
sly.
great-
They get the name Sly Fox for a reason. There's so many people that have said, oh my gosh, I was sitting out there enjoying my chicken TV, and not 5 feet from me, before I even could think, there was a fox that went whoom and got my chickens.
Yes. Oh yeah. In a second.
Yeah.
They are quick.
Yeah.
They're
Very
super
quick.
fast. So
Yes.
and Sandra said 2 raccoons took 20 chickens of hers
Yeah.
out. Yes.
Mhm.
Raccoons, all the above. Here's another thing for you guys, especially if you live in a little bit more warmer climate states, and you have hens that are broody.
Yeah.
When you reach under them to grab some eggs, don't
Yep.
be surprised if you grab a black snake. That's happened to
Mhm.
me a couple times growing up over the years. Snakes will get underneath the chicken. The chicken is not smart enough to really care,
Right.
and it will swallow the eggs and take a
Yeah.
nap.
Yeah.
And then it's staying nice and warm under the chicken, so it's full,
Yeah.
it's warm, and yeah. So
Absolutely. And coming from
just
Australia, yes. Those
Just
snakes,
expect
those snakes definitely like to cozy up in there. Yeah, 100%.
they do.
And that's
We'll
why I
have to- we'll have
say
to-
your area, know your area for the predators that are prevalent in your area. And that's the most important. And if you don't know, then go out, have a look at the scat that's around, talk to your local groups, perhaps on social media or in community forums, and do a little bit of research if you're new to an area, and find out what are the predators in your area, because that is what will give you the direction in how to build your chicken coops and your chicken runs.
Yes. Well, Villina, it has been a pleasure. We're at the top of the hour. Is there anything you would like to throw in there before we wrap it up? Just plug yourself.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Your Facebook, website, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Well, this is my logo here. It's nickelbeakhollow.com. This is one of the first aid kits that we have. See if we can get no light on that.
Yes.
And so we have a lot of products on our website for taking care of chickens. We have Elector PSP for mites and lice. We have Safeguard Aquasol, which is for a dewormer specific for poultry. We have a lot of fun things that we're bringing out now, like bags and t-shirts and aprons with a lot of really fun sayings that are in the chicken world. So we have a very fast growing range of products. We're looking at a lot of local suppliers of their homemade products that we're bringing on board over the next few months as well. That's exciting because we like to support local people. We're growing all of our first aid products, and we have lots of things going into our blogs and articles for education, and also providing some fun, because at the end of the day, it's all nice to have eggs and be serious, but we've got to have fun. And that's why we're starting to bring in, fun shopping bags and t-shirts and aprons and mugs and coffee mugs and all that type of thing, just to make things a little bit of fun and a bit of comedic relief. But it's Nickelbeak Hollow. So it's NICKELBEAKHOLLOW.com. Check us out. We have a Facebook page as well as our website. And of course, Chicken Addiction Anonymous Facebook page is where we have a beautiful forum where we don't criticize people for coming in and asking their questions, even if we've heard it for the 10,000th time. It doesn't matter. We want to help you, and we want to make you successful. And the last thing I want to say is if you're thinking about getting chickens and you're not quite sure, do it.
Do it. Perfect. I couldn't
Yeah.
say it better myself. That's
Yeah.
exactly what everybody needs to hear. Villina, it's been a pleasure. It was a
Thank
great
you.
time. Really enjoyed it. We're really looking forward to your classes at Mountain Readiness. And guys,
It'll be
remember,
great.
check the instructor page because we've added a few more. One being
Awesome.
Mrs. Amber Toombs. I finally talked her into doing a class. She's going to be doing a
Yay!
soap making, a goat milk soap making class.
Nice.
So
Beautiful.
it's time for her to come out of her shell, hatch out of her shell, so to speak. Nothing. That was a chicken joke. It was a bad one.
Yeah, I got it.
Not even gonna ask.
Yeah, just get the incubator. It doesn't matter. So, but look for those. Check out Villina on her all of her social media. It was great talking to you. We look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you here in not even 2 months.
I know.
So,
I'm actually very excited. I have been hanging for years to come to North Carolina because you guys have got the Blue Mountains, right? And I used to live in the Blue Mountains in Australia. So I
Yes.
just kind of feel this kindred spirit, and I'm really excited to come. Really excited.
Same here. Same here. It's going to be a great time.
Yay!
Awesome. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Remember,
Thank
if you're going
you.
to move with purpose. And
Yes.
Russ, roll us out of here, brother.